Okay, the first thing you want to do is whack your ball nice and round. Remember, this is a 3-pound ball of clay that's been wedged. Then what you're going to do is you're going to create a 1/4 inch flat slab. So you're going to start by whacking it down on the table. Making sure that it's getting to be nice and flat. Once you have it nice and flat, about 1 inch thick, you can go ahead and start to roll it out. You can use your 1/4 inch stick guide to help you with that. And as you're rolling, go in one direction at a time. Don't go back and forth. So I'm pushing forward, and then I'm going to turn it. I'm going to push forward, turn it, push forward, turn it. And keep on doing this until it becomes a nice round shape that's 1/4 inch thick. It's very important that it's even. If you see any air pockets or bubbles as you're doing this, just pop them with your needle and just try and compress them. And make sure you keep on picking it up. That's important so it doesn't get stuck. That you are evenly and consistently rolling it. Remember, if your rolling pin goes on top of your piece and on top of the stick at the same time, they will be the same thickness. You can check it when you get close by just kind of going around with the stick, making sure that everything is of equal 1/4 inch thickness. Okay, after you have your slab rolled, you're going to take your mold, which happens to be a paper plate. You want to try not to make this plate wet, okay, because it is made out of paper. We want it to hold its shape because you're going to use it as a mold. So put it towards the middle of that. There we go. And without compressing it hard, just kind of hold it in place. Don't squish your plate. Hold your needle tool vertically and run it right along the edge of that paper plate. I'm looking for nice even edges. They're cut neat and tidy. And a plate that matches up with your paper plate. Make sure you're holding that tool vertical so you don't cut short. Then take off your excess clay around the edges, remove your paper plate, and then you have your round slab. The edges on the round slab look a little rough at first, so take a damp sponge, not dripping wet, just damp, and gently smooth out the edge that you can see to get rid of any of the marks that you may have made. Rinse your sponge periodically. You do not want to oversaturate your slab. You want to just go over the edge just to smooth it. Do not go over the whole thing with water. It's very important that you do not add extra water to your slab. If you have any areas that seem a little bit uneven, before you cut it, you can take your rib and you could just smooth over the surface. If you did it now, you would stretch out your piece. So if you wanted to smooth anything, you just do it before you cut it out. All right, so once you have this and it looks pretty good, you're going to take your mold and you're going to lay this inside your mold and try and center it so that it lines up perfectly over the edges of your piece. So I'm going to very carefully lift this without trying to squish my edges. Take my plate, which is my mold, and just watch what I'm doing. If I'm standing up, I can look right over the top of it. And I want to make sure that it looks like it's pretty much lined up with it without over moving or overstretching it. Okay, after I have that, then I can just give it a quick little gentle but firm drop, and you can see how it starts to go into the form. You want to gently go around and lay down the edge onto the paper plate so that the clay surface is completely touching it. Now you can go back in and go over your edges one more time. If you have anything that's uneven, just compress with your finger. Do not try and cut it off because you'll more than likely have an uneven plate. Okay. Then, if you need further help pressing it down, you can take this, which is sand inside of a piece of material and tape together. It's called a pooch, and you can just gently tap it. And this is going to help further lay the clay slab into your plate mold. I'm going to go along my edges, just making sure that this is laying down the best that it can. And just go right into the little crevices on the side. If you get any marks from that, just take your sponge that's damp and not wet and just go over your surface and try and smooth it out the best you can. You want this to look 110%. Nice and beautiful, nice and smooth. Because once it becomes leather hard, there's not much you can do to it at that point to change it. And it needs to set up to leather hard overnight so that you can take it out of your mold and clean up the bottom side of your plate. So once you're satisfied with that, I'm barely pressing, by the way. I'm just grazing the surface with my sponge, just try and smooth it out. Remember, neatness and tidiness are a huge part of this grade, making sure that your plate looks really, really neat and tidy on the edges, that it forms to the overall shape of the plate, that it matches up with the sides, that it looks round, that your edge is the same size all the way around. If you didn't put your slab in the center, you could have a large edge here and a small edge here, so it's very important that it's in the center. If you didn't do well and you would like to start over, just re-wedge the clay and put it back into the plate mold. Again, try not to get the actual paper plate wet, and you can see how it looks. So now I'd let this become leather hard. The next day I'd take it out, clean up the bottom, finish cleaning up my edge, put my name on the bottom, and then set it out to dry.